I want to talk about something that we've long forgotten about. Who's an architect here? Any architects here? Architects? Yes, okay, 1, 2, 3, okay, great, thank you. Designers? Design, okay, more. Okay, thank you. Let me ask you a question. Are you happy with your job? Yeah, okay, great. Are you 51% happy? 51%, okay. Let me tell you what, I can't say I'm not happy. I was very anxious. And I'm going to tell you a little story. You know, we were educated to build this. We were educated to build great building. This is the Opera House. You know what? I actually built it. I didn't build it myself, but I built it with a bunch of people. I thought, this is it. I made it. Yay. Then, I thought, this is easy. I came from a very happy family. I was very well educated. I attended one of the best schools in the world. I went to Cambridge, too. And I was, very successful. Amid a recession in 2004, I actually got a job at a very good design house in London. And I got a lectureship to teach at a university in London in 2007. I was only 27 years old. And I was not happy. I wanted more. So I joined a world-class international firm in Vienna in 2008. I was only 28 years old when I was a representative of the firm in China. Now, I thought my life is sorted, it's done. And I wanted more. And in 2010, I started Groundwork, my office. Then, here it goes. Life is a roller coaster. When you are young, you're innocent, you thought you rule the world, right? You know you can do it. But then, people start not paying up. You lose competitions. I ended up losing all my money on a failed attempt to set up my office in China. I even once stood in front of an accountant's office of a client just to ask them to pay up. No, we don't want to pay you because your work isn't good enough. I said, dude, you signed the contract. You wanted me. We built it. No, we don't like your service. Come on, they just don't want to pay. Deception comes in various forms. It's very easy to cheat somebody. So in 2011, I understand a few things. This is one of them. And I went back to Hong Kong to lick my wounds. I went to Hong Kong and I have no much to do. So I've decided to work voluntarily. So I worked for a voluntary group which helps to refurbish houses for singleton elderlies in Hong Kong. At the end, we did 500 of them. I realized that one thing through the process. You know what that is? Amid this thin veneer of prosperity of this glamorous city, it lies serious social issues. And property prices never falls. Hong Kong's Gini's coefficient ranks number 9 out of 157 places on Earth, meaning that our wealth gap is the largest on the planet. Property prices continue to soar, so people are not affording out the house. That's what I found out when I was painting all that little houses for the singleton elderlies, public houses. Now, what on earth is going on? Are we not doing our job well as architects? And I thought to myself, I can't turn a blind eye to this anymore. I got to do something about it. And this time, I restarted groundwork. But this time, it was fielded with a mission. Again, a very interesting question for everyone, huh? What are we doing here on Earth, on this life? A much more sophisticated question than the other one, huh? I asked myself this question hard enough for me to say, well, why don't I try to help people? This is the funny, because life is so interesting. When I have nothing to do, someone asks you, do you want a job? I say, well, okay, sure, what do you want to do? Do you want to teach? I said, I taught before. So I went and became a lecturer in the local university. As well as starting groundwork. At the time, I have nothing. So I have my little desk and my father's studio for practicing music. So our little desk at his music room and his sketching away. And I was teaching. Then, at the same year, a fire broke out in Mong Kok, Hong Kong, Fire Yuen Street. This is street markets, right? So, claiming to 10 lives. And rumor has it that the government wanted to eradicate these street markets for all. Now, this is serious claims. You want to wipe out all street markets in Hong Kong? These street markets are made out of these, what we call hawker stalls. And these hawker stalls, 排档, they are not only just interesting buildings, little buildings, but they are the shops for 4,063 people, because there are 4,063 of them in Hong Kong. And they represented 4,063 families in Hong Kong. If you eradicate them, they lose their job. And moreover, these places are civic icons. Tourists love to go to Hong Kong. Have you been to Hong Kong? You ever been to Hong Kong? Okay. You probably would love to go to these places than a shopping mall, would you? And these places are also shopping arcades for the grassroots. Imagine if they're gone, where would the little people go and shop? So we decided to do something about it, and we summoned a team of academians in our school, all working voluntarily to investigate on the possibility of how do we save these hawker stalls from being eradicated. We try to find a solution to convince the government what we can do. Now, firstly, I did a lot of research. I spent 8 months doing this on the street, interviewing people. I wear this little vest just because I don't want anybody to mistaken me to be a government official. I want to tell them I'm just here for research. More importantly, I wasn't very good at it at the beginning. I would wear suits and tie to interview hawkers on the streets. But eventually, the trust developed, and I got more and more supports from the community. So I ended up doing a lot of research, being on the streets, understanding some questions. The average age of these hawkers is 62 years old. And they take 1 hour to open this store and 1 hour to contract it. It's really hard work. So we were thinking, because you need thicker steel for the cladding of these hawker stalls in order for them to be fireproofed, but it's too heavy to lift. So what we can do? We do fire tests to find out the optimum thickness of steel. We make sure that these mechanism of transformation is enhanced, hinged it, so that these doors can be opened easily. And the hawkers can access these places daily without much stress. And we did it. After 1 year, we found a way. And we realized that although what we have achieved is much more than this, which is researches and ideas of how we can socially innovate a place, we found a few things that we truly touches our hearts. These hawker stalls, as if it is now, as you go to Hong Kong, they're like that, are very beautiful. We know that it's these places for trust to flourish. Now, if you go to the market, what would you do? You bartered. You say, can I borrow this? People are all under one weather. So regardless of rain, regardless of sun, they need to subscribe to the same weather. So they are all humbled. So these places eventually are as an incubator for trust. I've realized that one thing. Hawkers are happy, and people are happy on street markets because they trust each other. Now, I want to make an analogy of our trade. I think what we're doing is much like an aquarium, a fish tank. Nowadays, we're too interested into building a beautiful aquarium, the skin, but we have neglected the fish. But most importantly, we have neglected the water inside the aquarium. That is exactly what we should be trained to do as architects. But now, we want the biggest buildings. We want to win awards. We want to build the best icon, the tallest, blah, blah, blah. We've always concentrated on the aquarium, but not the water and the fish inside. And I think architecture, not buildings, weighs much more than just the aquarium. Because I believe that the water means joy and trust. So I was thinking, can I apply this to kids and making their life happier? So in 2016, we were commissioned by the government to research on how the Hong Kong's parks can improve. Have you been to Hong Kong's parks? Maybe you have done it so. Let me tell you one thing. The tallest slide is 1.8 meter, meaning that the kids are just sliding slightly off my head. And we wrote 14 books on the guideline for Hong Kong's parks in the future. Through a lot of engagement process, and we surveyed, we designed games for the kids so that we can understand them. And we designed the games for the adults for them to understand their needs. I learned one thing. Kids don't need much because they're happy. Or they are happy because they don't need much. Kids are also happy because they were in the parks where all these relationships could be established. Now, I think we have also always neglected one thing. Kids love the parents. Kids love toys. Kids love the nature because they don't mind the dirt, they don't mind the sun, they don't mind being wet. They also want to be themselves. If you play with a toy, usually you will get much more creativity by being alone. So we have decided to try one thing, to blend architecture with the toys inside. Now, do you know this? You probably know this, right? Okay. This is the perfect example for a toy that is architectural. It's big, it's friendly, it's reliable, it's interactive, it's adventurous, it's surreal. And I wonder, can I bounce on his belly? So we did this little experiment, or what we call an art piece. We've tried to flood a 300 square meter place with a large balloon. This is the rendering, the design rendering. And kids are there, they are making dreams, we even designed lighting for them, we are designing the music for them, and they are all jumping around, and they are really, really happy. And we even moved this to Shenzhen. And this big fish cannot be swallowed by the cat. So it's always staring at each other. And the cat cannot eat the fish, so the fish eat the kids. And the kids are inside, jumping, bouncing, having a lot of fun, taking a lot of risk. When they're inside, they're most happy. You gotta watch this, this is really fun. This guy just pushed and bam! Kids are in a space where they can take risks fully. That's why they're realizing that they are growing. Now we are creating a vessel for kids to grow, to interact, and to play and have fun. We are creating architecture for children to establish bondings. And that's why they're happy. I take a lot of joy just taking these pictures because I'm just sitting there watching them. And they just bounce and they're happy. And it's a painting by itself. When I take pictures all the time, it's a painting. So, and adults are also happy too. They're all jumping around and making a lot of fun. And because they're happy, they share the happiness on Instagram. And they all come again. So I have all the architectural jargons and discourse for this, but I'm not going to share this with you today. So that's not the point. The point for me is to tell you few things. First, we are happy because we don't need much. And these parks, these toys, and this space allows people to establish relationship with the nature, with the objects, with people, and with themselves. And that's why they're happy. I can say that I'm a much more happy person now because I have let some baggage go. That's my past. I used to be so arrogant. I used to be so full of myself. But for once in my life, that I put myself down and I realized that all the mission sense and joy rushed it in. I just want to advocate a few things. First, let our ego go, architects. Let's use more of this than this. Let's listen over speaking. Let us revise our education system to ones that encourage sharing, collaboration versus competition. Let us teach our students how to be better listeners and observers. Let us build not forms, not adventurous forms, but the water inside. Let's build beautiful water. Thank you.